Hi, Tom Budkevich. Got a quick budget committee update for everybody after our first meeting of the year. It's long been my frustration on budget committee that when dealing with the school budget, which represents the vast majority of your property tax bill, 90-some% of the line items, we just can't do anything about them on budget committee. And we're told by the school that you can't change anything there because that's all been contractually set. Basically, they have union negotiations in secret, and they come up with how much all this stuff's going to cost, and then the taxpayers just expected to eat it. And there's really nothing that I can do about it on budget committee. We asked how we could have some public oversight into these negotiations, and the school was not receptive to that at all. We asked if we could have a budget committee representative in the room. They were not receptive to that. And basically, we were forced to put a warrant article on the ballot last year, and that said that we wanted public access to these negotiations, and we want them subject to right to know laws so that we can read meeting minutes and keep abreast of what's going on with these negotiations and make sure that the school board really is negotiating with our best interests at mind. And so imagine my surprise at our budget committee meeting when I asked about these negotiations, and I'm told they're taking place this next week or so. But the public's not allowed to come. They're going to be done in secret, and I'm told that the NH Teachers Union sets the ground rules for these, and that apparently overrides the wishes of the voters. And so they're basically fighting this every step of the way. They say things like, oh, that warrant article was put on the town ballot, not the school ballot, so we don't have to obey it. Even though you can look at the petition and you can see it says, it instructs the town to put it on the town or school ballot, so whoever was in charge of the election decided what ballot to put it on, and I think they're just trying to weasel their way out of this. So I've put a few clips here from the meeting just so you can see what's happening, and I would appreciate it if people showed up to the school board meeting on Wednesday and let them know that you want them to follow the will of the voters, and you want to see some transparency in how the vast majority of your property tax bill is negotiated. Thank you. Kathy, are we getting a teacher's contract?
We will get a teacher's.
When is the negotiations happening with the teachers union?
It's starting
Next week?
It's only starting next week? Oh boy.
So are we going to be able to attend that then?
It's not a public meeting.
It's not a public meeting? But the voters
Do you
of
want to
this,
wait until we
the
go
voters
over
of this
everything
town,
before we...
No, I have a question I wanted to ask. It's not a public meeting, but the voters of this town overwhelmingly supported a warrant article to allow public access to the teachers union negotiations.
But those are privileged information that cannot be shared with anyone until you reach an agreement.
Right, but aren't these the meetings where some of the salaries for the teachers and things and the benefits represent a very, very large majority of the school budget, which represents 76% or so of the budgets that we talk about here. And the decisions that drive those numbers are made in these secret meetings, and we had discussed that, and that's what led to the warrant article, to have the taxpayers and the voters of this town weigh in, and they said that they wanted to be involved in this discussion.
That wasn't even on the school board.
Is the school board willing to have budget committee representation at the negotiations?
She could probably
I
ask,
that's a
but that's not anything she can make
Oh, I'm
a
sure this has
decision
been
right now.
discussed. Certainly they've discussed a warrant article that said that they have to open it up to the public.
Sure. Represents the teachers. We represent the citizens of the town and the school. And we have to set ground rules, and ground rules, NEA New Hampshire will not bend to that.
So you're saying that the teachers union, NEA New Hampshire, overrules the voters of this town?
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
because
a pretty terrible position to have.
So
But remember,
Tom-
you also elected all the people on the school board.
Right, so...
I didn't vote
so
for any
Tom,
of them
think
except
of-
Lori.
I think
Well,
that sounds like
we
what
can
we're going to
debate
have to
this
do that.
at school board thing.
Right.
I just wanted to know what the update was with that.
Okay.
Just say a couple
Go ahead,
things. This will be the first in the state of New Hampshire to happen, if it does happen. Secondly, there are appointed people to speak at negotiations, and it's not an open forum. So even if you went and watched, you wouldn't be allowed to talk. No questions, no nothing.
So, again, the
You
union is
observe.
setting the rules, not the
Said you
voters
wanted
of
to
this
look
town.
through, you'll be able to observe.
The voters of this town voted for transparency, and I hope that the
You'll see
school
it.
board will allow that.
You can sit there and watch.
If they allow it.
They allow it, yeah.
All right, so I'm just gonna write down October 6th, next meeting.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Was, speaking of things that are on the right ballots and wrong ballots, wasn't the question about voters or others being present at negotiations on the town ballot as well, rather than on the school ballot?
It was, which is, I don't know, I wrote on the petition form to place it on the school or the town ballot as appropriate, so I don't know who made the decision of what ballot to put it on, but both ballots were handed to the people of this town and they filled them out, so we know what the people of this town want. They want to have transparency and they want a seat at the table during the negotiations. They don't want them done in secret. And I know that the school went to their lawyer and the lawyer said, oh, you know, this is an illegal warrant article and you don't have to obey it. But you know the way the townspeople feel, and they want transparency, they want to be present at these negotiations, they want to find out how these contracts are written.